Nice, it's recording now. I guess Edwin is going. Edwin is coming. Limit your course. So we are going to create. I have been thinking, which is the way to teach you, or the easy way for you to learn. I think we are going to be a step by step, and we are going to create a lot of small projects. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, me too.
And so I guess it's better to create just big one project, because it's going to be really easy to get confused. So today we are just going to see how Meteor works with React and how to add React to a Meteor project. You already know that, but so I'm going to be back to the playground folders, like the place where I like to play.
Nice.
So I'm going to create a new Meteor create --var, because I want an empty Meteor app, and we are going to call it Meteor React. No, React Meteor, so we don't get that 2 errors. React Meteor.
Should.
Nice. Also, you know, Sergio, what the DOM is?
Kinda.
We learned this on micro.
Object. Yeah.
What's the benefit of React? Is that we have a virtual DOM, a virtual document object model. Okay, so the one of the cons of jQuery, it was that if you want to change something or on an element, you have to manipulate the DOM. The DOM is this. Fuck. The DOM is this structure of your HTML. It's like this representation. So if you are on this, I don't know, H1, and you want to change like something in this row, you have to, from this part, you have to go way up here, find this thing, change everything, and from here you need to reload again, show everything again. Okay, so that is too expensive in terms of memory, in terms of performance, in terms of time. What React do to improve this? We have the component with state. So if the virtual DOM, it's like this same DOM, but we just work with few real HTML elements. So we are going to have like 1 or 2 HTML elements, and inside of the last child, we are going to inject our React app. Okay. So when we want to make change on this child element, we are not going to be working with the DOM. We are going to be working with the virtual DOM. Okay, so the DOM is going to end here, and everything below that, it's on the virtual DOM. So if you change something here, just this component is going to get updated, and not the whole structure. Okay? So back on time, if you change here something, you need to reload the page, you need to re-render everything. And now with React, if you change here something, you don't need to re-render, recalculate everything here, and you just need to manage this component individually. Okay?
Okay.
That's.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, but I want
already.
I want to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it.
Yeah, so it will stick.
Till I know that
nice.
you understand this.
I think you using one example of Wikipedia.
Exactly. I'm going to repeat this till you can get this like without overthinking. Okay, I know this like an instinct. So what we are going to do now, we are going to create this Meteor project, and we are going to inject React. That's our main goal for today.
Nice.
So we have this empty Meteor project. So the first thing that you need to do when you create a new project is to init git. Fuck. Okay, so now we can track our code changes. We are going to add all the files, or we are going to create the classic initial commit. Okay, we are going to create a new branch development, and we are on dev. So we need to create the file structure, the basic file structure. So you might know that we need a client folder, an import folder, and a server folder, right?
Right.
To get started. So on the client, you know that we need a CSS file. So we need an index HTML, and also we need an init.js to init the JavaScript client. And also on the server, we just need an init. So every time that the server starts, we are going to start from this file. Meteor, you don't need to do this on HTML files, because this doc type tag, this HTML tag, it's added by Meteor, okay? So we just need the body and the head tag, because the other things, Meteor adds it automatically. So we are going to have like an H1 with the hello world, really classic. We are going to change the title to React Meteor. So on the client, we want to console log to know that it's working. Init client. We want some styles. So we are going to say that body margin 0. And also we are going to log on the server when get init, server init. So this is the most basic thing that you need to do when you start a Meteor project with their flag, like --bar. I'm going to
Ainda não.
terminal. Also, okay, it's just right now. So I'm going to run meteor run. Do-do-do-do-do. Start. Okay. So why this hello world is showing here? Because remember, on the client folder, Meteor looks for these 3 base files. So if we inspect the client console, we should see our init client. If we see our server logs, we have our server init. The styles are working. We don't have margins, so pretty much everything is working now. Okay, so we are going to add our files. We're going to queue commit. This is sure. We are going to end like the base because it's like the basement. File structure. So now we want to add React. React
Nice.
comes from npm. So we need to npm install save React and React DOM. Okay, because React, oh fuck, oh no, it's okay. React is the React library, and React DOM is the virtual DOM. Okay, so they are
Okay.
2 different libraries. Okay,
So why the save?
to
See package
save
that is on
the binaries and all the files on your local environment.
Okay.
So now we have React. We have React. Everything is working. And how the fuck we start React? We are going to define a div with an ID of React root, okay? And on H3, this is not React. Okay, so
Okay.
instead of showing this is not React, inside of this React root div, we are going to inject React. But how? I don't know how. As you remember, Sergio, yesterday, and Isaac too, I told you that we are never going to work on the client folder, neither
Yeah.
on the server folder. So on the imports,
add a client and server.
we have a startup folder, and on this path goes all the files related to the startup process on the client and on the server. Okay, so we need 2 more folders. So at this time, we need to init React on the client when the app is startup, or it is I don't know how, like loading up for the first time.
Yeah.
So here in this startup path, we are going to add our index file. So we are just going to init.
Require?
Exactly. We are going to require this index file on this init. So when the client initializes, we are going to show the index, okay?
Okay.
Yep.
So we are going to move this console log to client yes index, and we are going just to import that file. So we are going to import import startup client, and we are not going to specify a file because
Yeah.
it's the
I
same
remember.
doing this, okay?
Nice.
Because Meteor looks for index files or init files. So now we should see the client.js index, okay? So we are showing this file and this file at the same time on the client, okay?
Nice.
Yeah.
So while we show this index file, or index HTML file, we need to inject React here. So this is the place to do that. Okay.
Okay.
So to do that, we need to import some Meteor Meteor functions. Meteor, exactly. And we are going to say that Meteor startup.
Callback function.
Exactly. So we are going to turn on the client, and this is the same of doing like you know what this means, Sergio?
It's a function, right?
It's a function, exactly. So we are running a function inside of a function. So we are passing this function as callback, okay?
Yeah.
What is a callback? Once Meteor startup finish their process, we are going to run this function, okay? So we know that at this point, the client is already a startup. I don't know how to say that, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I get it.
Okay, so here we need to inject the React DOM inside the React root div. And how? We are going to import render from React DOM, and we are going to say render. This render function needs two things.
A component.
And React component, a component, exactly. So we are going we are going to pass a React component. This is JavaScript.
Yeah.
But this is going to be tricky. Hello, React, because we are writing like HTML inside React, inside JavaScript. So not everyone needs used to that. And document find
get element by ID.
Get element by ID, and we are going.
No, that's not complicated.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. That part is the normal, like vanilla JavaScript.
Exactly. React is not defined.
You are passing the name of the element and its ID.
Exactly. Oh fuck. Import React from React. So now that we have React, we have the ability to put HTML inside JavaScript because we have this React imported. And I guess this render is lovely. I'm not sure. Yeah.
So what this render is?
The render is the function that shows this inside this. That's everything. So look, we have, it's weird because we have this ID, React root, and we are showing this is not React, but it's not getting show it, I guess. It's not, you don't see that here because we are overriding.
Yeah, I get it. That's why the name is render. So
exactly, because we are telling
yeah, I get it.
to Meteor
Yeah,
to render
I get it.
this inside this element. Okay?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's not complicated.
It's not complicated. So we added React. that hard is to add React on a Meteor project, but that is not all.
Oh, so that's why this render belongs to the React DOM, right?
What? This render?
So that's why this render belongs to React DOM because it's overriding
Exactly. So
the
as you can see
behavior.
here, we have this React root, we have the body, as you see the HTML, we have the body, then we have the H1 with the hello world, and then we have the React root without this H3 because we are overriding with the render. But also you can add this React library, and you can look for React components that are being rendered. Okay, so if you can see, we cannot access to that hello world from the React settings because
Yeah, I
the
get it.
hello world is not React.
Yeah, it's not a React object.
Okay. What I like to do is to create here on the same path an app component. And this component is on JSX because it's going to be React. So this is going to be the first React component that is going to be injected on the React root. Okay, so now we are going to have this hello React, and on the index file we don't have nothing, and we are showing this because we are passing this H1 to the render.
You are creating an H1 and rendering the HTML.
Exactly. Now we are going, instead of passing this H1, we are going to pass this app component. Okay, so we are going to define a new stateless component. An stateless component is a component that do not handle states. So you cannot change. I am getting confused with Ruby to put colons or not.
Yeah, me as well.
And how you define a stateless component? It's just a function. So we can define this component as maybe, I don't know, if you want to create like your own headline, we can define headline. headline, you can say is a function. And this function on ECMAScript 6, if you define a function of this way with this curly bracket, if you want to return something, you need to type it like return h1 headline or title maybe, so don't get confused. Okay, but
Okay.
Yeah.
you can save some lines and you just need to do this way. So if you want to immediately return something, you just
Yeah, like-
need the parentheses. On even, you don't need if there is just one line.
One line, yeah.
So
Nice.
we are going to define another component that is going to be our app component, and it's going to receive nothing as parameter, and we are going to return something. We want to return a div, and inside this div, we are going to return our headline.
For the JSX files, like the React files, you wouldn't put it in like a component folder and then I guess import it. I mean, I know you could do it like this, but like if you're doing it like for production,
yeah,
you would put the app. If you would put the app in the component folder.
exactly. But why I did not add an app folder is because this file is just loaded once.
Right. That's your main file. Yeah.
And everything related to this, to like this component app, later in time, it's going to be tied to another thing. So in this app file is where we are going to init the Apollo client and the React router, and nothing more. So now we are going.
It will recognize the red line constant like HTML tag.
This one.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, React is just like a bunch of functions returning HTML.
Exactly. You always have to return HTML from this type of components, because you can here you can do some method or everything. You can do let zoom it's equal 1 plus 3, I don't know. And here you can have like, look this. We are going to pass a prop as this is going to be, we are going to get some React earlier than I think. So you can pass parameters to components, okay? So I'm going to do some easier to get. So this Diego, and I want that the headline say my name. So I'm going to pass like the prop name, and I'm going to say that it's going to be name. So I'm passing down this name prop, this name variable inside this name. So this headline now receives a name, or we can change this to don't have too much names. Okay, we are going to do this. Let a person, it's going to be an object with a name, Diego, and last name, Robles. Oh, that's me. So we are going to say that this headline component, it's going to receive a person object. So here we have name and no, here we have a person. Okay, so now I can put inside this h1, I can put like person.name. And now, instead of showing this hello React, we are going to import this app component from the same folder, and we are going to render this here. So this is our like React starting point. So now we see the Diego.
Nice.
When you have a React component and you pass like parameters, they are called props, okay? So a component can receive props from a parent component.
Yeah, which is like short for properties.
Exactly. Another way to pass down props is that you can pass down components as props.
Yeah, that's where it starts to get a little heavy.
Exactly. So now we can have like a subheading component that is going to receive a child. No, this one is going to receive a child component. We are going to, oh fuck, we have to div, and I'm going to check. I'm not sure if this is going to be work, but we are going to try. Subheading. So subheading receives the person. And there we go. We're going to have an H1 with the line. And we are going to return, oh fuck, a div with an H3 that says subheading, and then a P, fuck, P, why is not working? P, with my person.name. So instead of doing this, we need to pass down a component to the headline. So we are going to render the proper way. No sé qué le pasa. And we are going to render the subheading with the person. I hope that you don't get lost, Sergio, but you are going to get it soon. Maybe Isaac knows what I'm doing.
Yeah, like
this is not
components.
Yeah, this is not working because I think I have to create like React, create element, child. No. I'm doing what is bad? I guess it's children. Ahí está. It was children. So what we are saying here, that this headline component, it's going to receive like a son, a children component.
Yeah.
So we are passing this subheading component as prop to this headline component. It's weird, but that's how React works, because React, you can do
Yeah.
things in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Yeah, anything like between two tags, like a start tag and an end tag, will be considered the children.
Exactly.
So when you have it like one line with a end tag one time, so if you like remove the bottom heading and got one line, everything inside will be like normal props, whatever properties you want to pass, and anything between the start tag and the end tag will be children.
Exactly. So all of these components are stateless. Stateless. So
Yeah.
because they don't have state.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we want to manage or handle some state? And what is a state? What is a state? A state, it's like the context. Woo, the context that a specific component holds. So I'm going to remove
It's
some
it's
things.
like like a vehicle moving also. So like you might be at a start point, and then at a certain point in time, let's say you were going to a destination and the destination is 2 hours long. So let's say at 5 minutes time, you might check what is the current state, like where is the car at that point in time. And then 10
Exactly.
minutes later, you would check again and you would get the update where it's the car in that point of time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like
So,
check.
Sergio,
Yeah.
did you get it? What are these kind of components? So how do you put HTML together inside JavaScript?
Yeah, I get most of the things, but this last part's a little bit confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
it's a
confused,
bit.
but you just need to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
It's not hard, but at the beginning it's confusing. Also,
It'll be a
I
little,
am speeding up because
yeah.
this is not for the first React class.
That's true.
But I know that you are storing this on your head, so when you need to understand it like by
You have the
yourself,
overall picture.
it's going to be easier. So
Yeah,
let's
nice.
back on track. We want just simple things. Oh, no. Yeah, here. Oh fuck. What? Yeah. So now this looks even. We can get rid of this person, and we just need. So I guess now it's easier to read this. So what means this is export default? As you can see, here we have two React components, right?
Right.
But when we require this file, here we are just calling the whole file, like the file completely, not just a part. So if you want to explicit like to say that each time that we import this file, we are going to use this component as default. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
You get that?
Yeah.
Because you here you can do like export headline.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's very intuitive. The name export
But
default.
you can,
Yeah,
yeah, you can also export them common separately.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, React has a stateful component. What are stateful components? Are are components that can store data.
Mhm.
And how do you work with them?
It's like JSON objects.
Yeah, like JSON objects.
Mhm.
We are going to say we are going to have a stateful component, and on the import folder, you might know is the most important one.
Mhm.
All the things related to UI goes on the UI folder.
Right.
So on the UI folder, we can have components, we can have pages, and any other like group. The thing is to store all the components that belongs to the same thing together. Okay, so if we have like all the components to handle, I don't know, users, here you add like sign in, I don't know, it's just an example, sign up, I don't know. Here in pages you can have like a home page, fuck,
Okay.
you can have like a home page GSX. Okay, these are just examples. We are going to get it soon. So on this component folder, we are going to add our this stateful component. New file .gsx, and we are in each component. You need to at least import React. Always,
Okay.
always, because if you don't do this, you cannot write HTML inside JS. So
Yeah.
you cannot work with JSX.
Mhm.
And look this trick. We are just going to export default, and we are going to say this. It's amazing.
Yeah, I see.
Stateful component.
Yeah, I saw you do that, and I was like, oh man, short code.
Yeah, and here we are going to import
Part.
stateful component
Component.
from string no UI component stateful component. So now we are going to show this one, stateful component. But you will be asking, Sergio, why this component is stateful if we are working with them as a stateless, because remember that this is the same of this
Okay, I get it.
component, and then it's the same of this. Okay.
Yeah. Just creating on the fly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is a stateless component because it don't have state. But how you transform this to a stateful component? You need to import this function, this component function from React, and you need to extend that function. So this is like functional OOP, because we are going to define a class that is going to be called stateful component, and it's going to extend. So this is like an include. Yeah, we are going to extend component, and then we are going to export default stateful component. And when you define React component as class that extend from component, if you return something, you are going to get an error, because the class, the state, this is a stateful component, and it's mandatory to have a render method.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, I get it.
And this method is the one in charge to draw the component, to mount the component. Okay? So here we need to return something. Stateful component. I'm writing so fucking bad. So as you can see, we are showing this because we are returning this h1 on this class, okay? But where the fuck is the state? We still don't are fuck, I get like confused. We are not managing state, so we can define a state.
Yep.
And we are going to say that this stateful component, it's going to hold an date, and maybe a
Company
I
name.
don't know. Yeah, company name, and it's going to be Acme. I don't know. So in this render function, I'm going to explain you something that is going to be more important than this. Every class, exactly, has its own constructor method that receive the props, and you have to run this super. So we are running this super method
from the component.
Exactly. And here we can set the state. We can say that this is the context. So we are going to save a state, and this state is inside this, and this is the context of all this class. Okay?
This component.
Yeah. This part is basically just like Java.
Exactly. We say the company, and we said that it's going to be Acme. So now we can have access to the state on the component.
Get it.
So we can say that this company
receive,
it's going to be this that state that company. Okay? And now
Yeah.
we can show the company name here.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yep.
What are the difference
Magic.
between
Yes.
props and state is that props never change. So, no, a component
Yeah.
never can access or modify their props, okay? But a component can modify their own state, okay?
So props
So
are immutable. State is
exactly,
mutable.
props are immutable. So we can define a method here like um, change
Set.
company name, change company, and it's going to receive a new name. And we are going to say every stateful component has this set state method, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
on this set state, you have to pass a new object with the variable that you want to change. And we are going to say that company, it's going to be new name, okay? And we are going to do something interesting. When we click, we are going to call
Oh, nice. You can write
change
JavaScript.
company, okay? So every time
Yeah.
that we click this, we are going to call this that change company, and we are going to pass new name, okay? So what do you think is going to happen if I click this Acme?
New name.
Do you remember that React works with a virtual DOM?
Yeah, it will change.
It, so
Without you need to reload the page, right?
exactly. So every time that the virtual DOM detects or find new code or new data or new state or new props, it got rendered. Looks. So every time this component is rendered, we are going to console log render. So looks. Boom. It rendered for the first time, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to click, as when I click, it's going to change the state. So it's going to render for a second time. Look, render. So because of this state change, this component got re-rendered, okay? But not this app component, because we did not change anything in this component. We just changed things inside this stateful component, okay?
I get it.
So if we don't have virtual DOM, this headline and everything, it will be re-rendered.
Reloaded.
But as we have the virtual DOM, the only part of the HTML that got re-rendered was just this stateful component, okay? You get it?
Yeah, I
Nice.
get it. What's the benefit that we get from this?
That you don't need to do permutations or reading every time the HTML when something change. So you can have faster web
Yeah.
apps
So we are
because
getting easier on the server, something
exactly,
like.
exactly, and on the client too, because this is client rendered. Here we are not rendering nothing from the server.
Yeah, less data it will be used from the.
So we are using the power of my computer, of my browser to render this. So imagine that you have dumb users with their computers full of spywares and things, and your app. Imagine if your app uses heavy amount of JavaScript on the client side, so you need to force like the browser of your user to waste memory to render this, because this is client side rendered. We are rendering, we are like creating this with the power of the user device. Okay, so
Get it?
if we remember that I told you that working with the DOM, it's so fucking expensive. So if we manipulate the DOM on the client browser, the page is going to start working slow. So that is the benefit of the React framework, that we don't work with the real DOM, so we can manipulate the virtual DOM as as it be the like the real DOM, but with low cost. Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Nice.
Every component have this on click and any and some other methods that you are going to learn by the time. So we talked about state, and we set the state here on the constructor. Okay, but this you use this approach when you want to set like the initial state based on some props. Okay,
Okay.
so what is that? Think that we want to set like the initial name here. So we are going to pass down initial name. So in this stateful component on the constructor, we are going to log the props. So now you can see we have this initial name. So we can set this company name based on this initial name. So we can say that const initial name comes from props, and we can say that initial name, we can set initial name, or if we don't have an initial name, we can set this as acme. Do you get it?
Pretty much.
So if this stateful component receive this initial name, we are going to set initial name as the company name. If not, the company name is going to be acme. So look, now we are going to remove this, and we are going to show acme.
Yeah, nice.
Also, there is a nice library that is called prop types, that it comes from npm install -- save prop types. What is this library for? Oh, we are going to finish like in 10 minutes more because we have the coding challenge in 1 hour more. So we need to take some rest before the coding challenge. This library makes you to type checking like which prop you can receive. So look, we are going to import, I guess it's this way. Prop types from prop type. And we are going to say, before exporting the component, we are going to say that stateful component that prop types, it's going to be an object. And we know that this component receives an initial name, okay? So we are going to say that that initial name, it's going to be a string. How was string? Type checking with prop types. I don't know, yeah, without lowercase. String, and I'm going to say that this prop is required. Okay?
Okay.
So what do you think it's going to happen now with this component?
Let me see again. Go down, please.
On the stateful component, we said that this component it's
now
going to.
Yeah, now you have to pass the argument, right?
Yeah, but I'm not passing. So what do you think that is going to happen?
Well, since you say it's required, I think an error. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a typo. Here is with lower. Yeah. So you have a warning, not an error. And what does warning say? Hey, you have an initial name prop that is marked as required in this component, and you are not passing it. Okay?
Okay.
So now I'm going to pass down that name, and we get rid of that. So when you have tons of components, you are going to forget what props are you receiving, what data type is, if it's required, if not. So this is the best way to manage prop types or props. So you will never can pass down this like a number. So we can pass like 3. And it's going to say, hey, you are passing me a number and I need
because
string.
It's defined as string.
Exactly.
Get it.
So what we have learned today, we learned about a little bit about Meteor, how to start a Meteor project,
React,
how to add React, how to inject React. We learned about stateless component. We learned about stateful component. We learned about the constructor method. We learned about how to set states. We learned about how to pass down props, how to pass down components as props or children's, and I guess it's pretty much by today.
Yeah,
So now
many
you
things
can,
today, many things.
yeah, many things. But we
I
have
think I will
recorded
need this
everything.
screen. Yeah, you are going to upload this.
Yeah, today. So
Yeah,
you
nice.
can watch it
Nice.
before bed or tomorrow on your
Yeah.
breakfast. So we are going good. We are doing good.
Nice.
So I'm going to stop record this. How can I stop?